Ashley specializes in capturing life's most meaningful moments, helping people rediscover their confidence and joy through the lens of her camera. She's not just a photographer, she's someone who sees beyond the surface, helping her clients to tell the story of who they are becoming. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Shari, for having me today.
Absolutely. So many of our listeners are in the process of rebuilding after a long-term marriage ends. There's grief, of course, but also opportunity. And self-image is often one of the first things that gets shaken. How do you see photography playing a role in that transformation?
Photography is really a healing art. It's actually one that we come into, and we come through a process of actually a transformation. And that transformation begins from the very beginning stages of planning a photography session, when you're actually picking out your wardrobe and then you're having your hair and makeup done and you're transforming into the person that you want to be. One of the first things that I ask people when I talk to them is I ask them where they want to be at in 5 years. I want to find out what their goals are and where they see themselves. A photograph is, they say it's worth 1,000 words. And if our mind can see what we can achieve and it can take an image and store that in its mind, then it can actually achieve what we want it to do.
Yeah, that's a very powerful way of looking at that. I hadn't even considered that being, really something that you could do with photography, but it does seem that it makes us feel seen and validated. And I've, had my own time of that trial that I went through. And I know at first I just felt like I was not lovable. I wasn't very pretty. We have all those things that happen to our minds and our, whenever we go through that experience, the rejection.
Because your foundation really gets shaken. And when your foundation gets shaken from, you've been in a long-term relationship and everyone goes into marriage thinking it's going to last forever. And so when that marriage comes to an abrupt end, you start to question your own identity. You question who you are and where you're going. And photography plays such an important role in that because it helps you reestablish your foundation and put you back on track for what you want to accomplish through your own life and also through, in cases, through your family as well. So it's really a healing art more than anything.
Yeah. That's something I had not even considered about photography. And I know a lot of people, they also feel invisible. Like, they've gotten to the point where they really didn't feel like that they were seen by their spouses, that, their children even just, because we become this person that is seen through the eyes of our husbands or our spouse and our children. And even sometimes, our family, our extended family. And then all of a sudden that role that you've been in for so many years is just gone. Yeah. And you're just totally out there like, now who am I going to be? So
it's interesting with women. We, generally speaking, have high school pictures taken, our senior year pictures.
Yeah. Right.
Our next set of pictures is when we get married. And then from that gap, and I'm using general statistics on this, in our early 20s is when we have our pictures taken for our wedding. And then we fly past 15 years, 20 years, because we're raising the children. And then that's the next time someone steps in front of the camera with me is they're 35, they're 45. And it's the first time they've actually put themselves first to be photographed. So it's interesting. We kind of neglect ourselves during that time because we're so busy pouring into our lives of our husband and our children or our spouse. And to be able to step back from that and go, you know what? I needed to be seen. I needed to be heard all those years as well. But we really take a back seat to all of that.
That is true. That is so true. I would imagine that when people do come to you, they feel really nervous and even hesitant about having these pictures done.
I would probably say about 95%. No, not quite that high. Maybe about 70% of our clientele come forward and they're nervous and they haven't had their pictures taken in the past 15 years and they don't exactly know what to expect. In their minds, they've envisioned they're going to stand in front of the camera. I'm going to take 2 or 3 clicks and then they're done. That's a school photographer. That's someone who comes in and takes your kids, preschool and grade school pictures. When you actually have a portrait session that's geared toward you, then I'm photographing not just your body style, but also what image you want to convey. What are you trying to send out to other people? And so it's a very creative process to get that message out to people. But it also comes back around to when people are nervous. We found that people are nervous on a couple areas. One, they don't know what to wear. And then secondly, they don't know what to do with their hair and makeup. So we've decided to go ahead and incorporate that into our sessions. So we have a wardrobe stylist on staff who actually helps women choose what color clothing and what style of clothing best complements their body style. And she works with you in either to go through and look at what you have in your wardrobe itself inside of your closet, or she actually will go out and go shopping with you to actually pick out the right clothing and the right message that you're sending with your clothing choices. And then secondly, we also have a licensed cosmetologist on staff who actually does your professional hair and makeup right before your photo session. And what we found is that when we offer both of these services, from a professional wardrobe stylist and professional hair and makeup services, that by the time you have left hair and makeup and before you even step in front of the camera, your confidence is already there. You're already glowing. You know your clothing looks great. You know that your hair and makeup looks good, and you are really ready to step into the photo shoot itself. So a lot of the work that we do beforehand really conveys the message once you are in front of the camera. And once we incorporated both of these two aspects into our sessions, we found that women were much more relaxed. It was just much more of a comfortable setting for them to be into. And it really helped boost their self-confidence, knowing that their wardrobe and their hair and makeup were already done prior to their session itself.
Yes, and I can attest to that. I've had my own personal experience here, and the wardrobe stylist was amazing. She helped me pick out outfits that I would have never considered myself and colors that I wouldn't have worn. And she just was really good at all of that. And I really enjoyed that experience. And then when I got here, I had my hair and makeup professionally done, and it turned out great. She asked me, what I wanted to wear my hair like, if I wanted straight or curled and styled. And I didn't really know, so I kind of let her do it, and I was real pleased with how it turned out. And so it's a great experience, and I highly recommend that you took advantage of that. I know you've had some clients that have come specifically post-divorce. Mm-hmm. They're looking for a fresh start and just a reset and just, to find themselves again. Do you have any personal experiences that you can talk about, women post-divorce?
Yes. Well, we actually have a couple. One, for myself, I went through a divorce quite some time ago. And when I left the marriage, I found that the marriage, one, was not healthy. And secondly, during that time we were together, he really had made me start to question who I was, start to question my body weight, also how attractive I was. And so during that process, by the time that our marriage was over, my self-confidence was at an all-time low. And I was really questioning who I was and how the world was seeing me. And one of the first things I did is I actually booked a photography session. And just through that process, I started to see myself differently through the lens of another photographer. But I really started to see that what he had been telling me for the past 3 years was not true, that I did carry quite a bit to offer into a relationship, that I was not nearly as ugly as he had let on, and that I was definitely not fat by any world standards. So it helped me overcome my issues, and photography was a healing art for me. Now, we have also had women come in here. We have quite a few women come in here after divorce, and they're photographed. And it really helps them regain their self-confidence. And then they are actually able to see themselves as really a full woman and a very empowered woman through that process.
That's incredible. It's about owning your body and your story and not hiding from it. And that's so important when you're starting over, especially in a world that often tells older women to shrink or fade. Yeah. I think we have a tendency to do that on our own anyway. Then when we're put out there, we don't really know how to behave. We don't,
Yeah. But we're more about empowering the woman, to making her feel confident in her body and confident in her overall demeanor, not just with herself, but also in a relationship. But it's more about self-love and healing more than anything else. And I would say that of our demographics, we probably have women that are 40 plus is our main demographic. So to say that, women as they get older, that they are not as important as when we're 20, I mean, that's just a lie, quite straight up, because our whole business is really centered around women over 40 who have, a lot of times they've already had children. their children are nearly grown or are grown, and they're coming back in because they want to feel alive again.
Yeah, and definitely when you get, past 50 and you're a grandmother, that definitely is the case. But, I think you've said it before, you're never too old or not the right shape.
No.
I know that you make people feel more comfortable about certain things. Like I have a problem with my big muscular calves, and you made me feel really like they were pretty, and that helped a lot. And I know that certain clothing or styles of shoes that you wear can enhance your legs, and you can do certain angles, and you can also kind of doctor up the photographs too to make it a little nicer and make us feel more attractive, and so I'm very thankful that you have that talent to make us feel more beautiful
Now
and
we have
attractive.
We have an editing staff. We have 8 women that work with us that are part of our editing staff, and so we can do full editing. I would probably say that on our Facebook page and on our website, that probably about 97% of what you see there is really out of the camera with just a few lighting changes, and then about 3% somebody wants something heavily edited. But
Yeah.
for the most part, we try to keep it as natural as we can.
Well, I know that in business that, if you have a business card that in your picture on there, your headshot is 20 years old, that's not the person that people are going to see when they meet you. So you might as well let them see what you really look like. It's helpful.
Well, what it actually creates is that when you hand out a business card or when you go to your website and you have a picture that's 20 years old, because it is your favorite, and we all understand that, when you show up and you obviously look different because it's been 20 years, it automatically creates a level of distrust with your client, because
Right.
who they have seen and who they were expecting is different than who showed up. And that's what we want to remove. We want you to come in here. In fact, we guarantee that you're going to fall in love with your images. And we want you to fall in love with your images, to be proud of them, to put them on Facebook, to put them on LinkedIn, to put them on Instagram. And that's our goal, so that you fall in love with them and you want everyone to see them. And I think that's an important aspect of it all, because if you're not confident, if you're not proud of them, you're not going to show them. You're not going to put them on your business cards, and you're not going to put them on the website. And we want you to be seen. We want you to be heard. We want you to show off how amazing you are. And we have found that statistically, when you go to a network meeting, maybe you meet 30 or 40 people there and you're talking to them throughout the night. And when you leave, the business cards that have a picture on them have a 40% higher chance of actually getting a return phone call or a return email, based solely on the fact that they see your face and they can recognize it with their conversation they had with you.
And I believe that is so true. I know it's important to me when I'm doing business with somebody. And, let's face it, they're going to look you up on Facebook. They're going to look you up on Google, wherever they,
Oh, yes, they are.
can find information about you before they even come to meet you, or even sometimes call you. So it's a big plus. So not only do you do personal shots, you obviously do professional branding and headshots. A lot of the women that, post-divorce are re-entering the workforce, especially when they're older. They're starting side businesses or pivoting in their careers. So that's a great service, is to provide, new pictures and headshots for them. I know that I've experienced that myself, and I have my latest headshot was also compliments of Heart of Gold Photography. I'm very pleased with it. And it was exciting. I had not updated my headshots in quite a while. And it was fun getting to upload the new headshots and pictures on my social media and also my business cards. So, LinkedIn, dating profiles even.
Yes.
You can use those and put on your business website, your cards, because your image is your first impression, like we've been discussing. And, it also helps you to present yourself confidently to the outside world. And it says, I'm here, I'm strong, and I know who I am. And that's a message that, helps people sound loud and clear. So I know you have a studio, and it's a great setting. It's in a house, and it's kind of off the beaten path. And it's really, that's where we're sitting in her studio right now doing this podcast. And so it's very inviting. She has it set up really well, has a lot of different props that she can bring in and out, and her lighting. She knows what she's doing. She's been at this for a while, and I would highly recommend that you give her a call.
And let me correct, it is
Sure.
not my home. It is a house that we have turned into a studio.
Right. Right.
So I do not live here. Just so you know,
Yeah.
you're not coming
No,
into my
you're-
home and in my living room. It's a complete house that has been turned into a studio.
Yeah.
And on the same property, we do have a separate building that is for what we also have baking with Santa sessions. They're hour-long sessions with Santa and Mrs. Claus, but that's a completely separate building, but it's on the same property.
Yeah, and she does some really fun stuff during the holidays. But I did want to. She has grounds here that if she could do pictures outside. Do you do a lot of off-site
We
photography?
do. For our family sessions, we do. For our family sessions, we find out kind of what you want to do with your images after the session. So are you looking to actually have canvases put on your wall? Are you looking for a family album? We really focus in on what the end result will be. And then we determine, what kind of look do you want to have? Do you want to have in studio, or do you want to be out in an outside setting? And if so, an outside setting, do you want to be by a lake? Do you want to be by a pond of water? Do you want to have some of the Kentucky fences displayed in the image? Or are you looking for something more like the Kentucky racehorse? Do you want to have horses in the image, or bourbon bottles? I mean, there's a whole lot of different aspects that go into determining the mood and the overall look of your end result. And then based upon that, we choose which venue we should photograph you at. And we go through and we get all the paperwork with the venue to get all that authorized so we can have a session there on site, and we pay any applicable fees if there are any. And then we arrange to have that session, which is, again, outdoors, or if you want to have indoors in studio. A lot of our clients do two types of pictures. They do a spring setting and then a fall setting. With any of our canvases, we do a complimentary installation. So we'll do their spring session. We'll hang their canvases on their wall. And then we do a fall session as well. And so when the leaves change, they change out and they put up their fall collection. And we come out again, we include that installation as well, and we change out and install the fall collection. And then we come out the following year as well. Clients typically schedule sessions with us every 2 years for fall and spring. And then some families just do each fall or each spring. Just kind of depends upon each family and how they choose to do that.
Yeah, that sounds exciting and fun, and we've done a little bit of that too.
That's very true.
Yeah, Ashley and I've had quite a few sessions together, and it's always been a lot of fun, and we've enjoyed the outcome. So I know that a lot of times when you've been married, especially a long time, you've had several family pictures made together with your ex and the kids. And so one of the things that we've done, and I think a lot of people would enjoy, is replacing those pictures with now, your adult kids and your grandchildren and whatever. So come in for a session and renew that also, not just yourself, if that's something that you would like to do, and just be able to display a picture that doesn't include your ex, because a lot of times it's just a constant reminder. And so, Ashley, I really think that this has been great. I've enjoyed talking about what you do, and I know personally that you do a great job. Is there anything that you want to add, or definitely tell our listeners how to connect with you?
Yes, you can go to our website, which is hrtofgoldphoto.com. And you can look at our galleries on there. You can also book a session, or you can also send us a text or a phone call at 859-667-8104. And we'll be happy to address any questions that you have and answer anything you have.
Okay, great. And so to our listeners, don't forget, we have a special giveaway just for you. And if you like our podcast page, go to facebook.com/Seasons of Divorce and tag at Heart of Gold Photography, and you'll be entered in a drawing for a free photo shoot that'll include the wardrobe consultation and a session with a professional makeup artist. It's a beautiful way to treat yourself and rediscover your power. And also, we didn't mention, if you want to gift your mother that's been through a divorce with a package, you can also get in touch with Ashley. Again, Ashley, thank you for being part of this conversation. And to everyone tuning in, remember, this chapter of your life is yours to write. Be bold, be kind to yourself, and don't forget, you are still becoming. Until next time, I'm Shari Frazier, and this is Divorce After 50.